All right, well, good evening. We'll go ahead and get started. Sorry about being a few minutes late. Renee, please show all board members present except for Mr. Satterley, Mr. White, and Mr. Hall. And let's go ahead and start, do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next item is the approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes tonight? All right. Have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Gilkey. All in favor? All right, be 4-0. It's going to be hard to say that tonight. Looks like we don't have any public comments on agenda items, so the next one is the board planning goals and strategies. I think we have an update on the college and career readiness.
Yes, board. Had a meeting this afternoon, a luncheon meeting. It was our third meeting that we've had with that group. It was attended by about 30 of the members. There's actually 63 total. But again, these are people from representing government offices, business executives, and post-secondary partners. And so we know that not every meeting is we're going to be able to get everyone there. What our focus was today is we're developing a specific action plan for the College and Career Readiness Advisory, and it's broken into three main components. One is a work ethic certification. Another is an awareness program to promote college and career readiness to our staff, our parents, our students, and the community as a whole. And then the third is partnership development. And so we divided the committee into three subcommittees and had a brainstorming session today where we're starting to actually put some specific ideas in place as to, number one, from an awareness perspective, what do we need to do to make sure that not only our internal staff and students are knowledgeable of it, but the community as a whole and our parents. Because this is very big. It's driving our entire school system, and we need to make sure that our parents are fully engaged in the process as well. So that brainstorming session occurred. Mrs. Lewis facilitated that group for us today. We're going to be putting minutes together and get those out here soon. The partnership development I facilitated, and the goal there is with all the things that we are trying to do for our kids, we're going to need a lot of help from our community to make it happen. Whether we're talking student internships, job shadowing opportunities, what we call teacher externships for teachers who want to get out in the summer and have an actual on-job experience where they can bring that learning back into the classroom. Advisory members for each of our pathways. So we sort of talked that through today, and I asked ideas from them in terms of how do we go out and recruit more people that can become formalized partners. We'd actually have a formalized agreement with these different entities, and we had some great suggestions that came out of it. Dr. Schwartz from Ivy Tech was on my subcommittee, as well as Scott Stewart, who's in charge of the Port of Indiana here. So very excited there. And then the last group was work ethic certification, and that was facilitated by Mr. Hare and Mrs. Schneff. And we're really excited about what we've developed. That we've been doing a lot of work for PBIS program. We've developed a concept called Pride that we are looking forward to sharing with this whole board in a presentation in the near future. But the ultimate goal would be that we're going to be teaching these skills throughout the school year so that at the end of the year, and we'd like to start this upcoming school year, our seniors would earn a work ethic certification. And there are 9 different criteria in which they would have to identify through their own, they'd have to earn it. Things like academic readiness, grade point average, reading at above grade level, math skills above grade level, attendance. There'd be some subjective measures, for example, like respect. Is the student respectful? Do they understand the importance of respect? where teachers would have to verify on a written document that, Christina is respectful. I verify, and I judge her to be respectful. So we're still developing it, but our goal would be to have that Pride program ready to go with the work ethic certification for at least seniors next year, starting next school year. And the business community is loving this. And I think it's a vital component moving forward. So I could continue to talk, as you know, a lot about this, but I probably will just tell you that we look forward to giving you more information in the future. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
You said that these would be awarded to our seniors, our upcoming seniors next year. When the program is up and running, when will we start collecting the data that will determine whether or not it'll work? Will it be the freshman year? When do we start?
What will happen is when it's up and running fully, like for example, next year it'd be our goal to implement Pride throughout our school system, to start teaching those all of those attributes that we want our students to develop. From pre-K all the way through 12, these things would be taught. The following year, not this upcoming school year, but the next, we give a work ethic certification, could be earned by a 5th grader and by an 8th grader. Because we want to make sure that they would be evaluated based upon their 5th grade performance, and based upon their 5th grade performance, do you qualify for what we refer to a work ethic certification? Because we want to reinforce on a continuous basis the value and the importance of it. We do it again at the 8th grade level, and then again at the 12th grade, and it would be our hope that at the 12th grade level, perhaps the governor of the state of Indiana would be able to provide a certificate that we would award our seniors at that senior level, maybe at awards day, and they could take this document out to any post-secondary opportunity and say, look, this is a legitimate document that shows that I possess high quality work ethic for your operation.
I had the opportunity at graduation to see the new Career Center up at Jeff High over the weekend. Looks like it's going to be very impressive. They're still working on it, obviously, signs in place. But this work ethic certification, will it be run through that Career Center, or how exactly is it administered across all the different schools?
What will happen next year is through a grant from the state, through the Region 10 Works Council, Christy Steller, who's been one of our counselors, she is transitioning into this special position paid for through this grant, where she'll be helping to actually coordinate the work ethic program throughout our district. But she'll be working very closely, obviously, with Mr. Hare in that regard, and our high school principals next year. She's also going to be working with our business community as well. And so next year, what will happen is we'd have a meeting with all of our seniors at the start of the year. We'd introduce the work ethic program to all of our seniors. They would even be asked to sign a document. Is this something that you are willing to commit yourself to during your senior year? And then at the end of the senior year, many of the measures can be pulled right out of our student management system, like attendance and discipline and grades and so on. But then our teachers would have to go in and would actually have to sign off on a document, and it wouldn't be a student bringing the document to them. The document would be in a separate room where the teachers would go, and they'd be able to say, I believe that Mark possesses respect, he's very respectful, I've seen him demonstrate it, I'm willing to sign off and put my name on it. And there are several categories where that would be true, and you would need 3 signatures. Each student would need 3 signatures in each of those areas. In the past, when I did this up in the Fort Wayne area, not every student earned that, because not every teacher, there were some students who did not get 3 staff signatures. And that says a lot to that child, especially their senior year, if they don't earn that kind of level of respect from the staff. So it's going to be a group effort next year, but mainly at that high school with the principals and Christy and Mr. Hare.
Great. So, sounds exciting. I know. I'm sure Travis is ready to get going with it, aren't you, Travis? Yeah. All right.
All right, thank you for the update. All right, we don't have anything policy review tonight, it doesn't look like, so I guess we'll move right into Dr. Dottle and the budget report.
Yes.
Fund monitoring, I think it is.
I had to run back upstairs and get
Got
this
his laser again.
since Mr. Hall had graciously given this to me, and he's not here to even see it. If you look at the general fund, we're still going up a little bit more. We're still looking at about $3,034,000 cash balance at the end of the year. That'll shrink a little bit. We're going to bump everybody up a full step. That'll be the last thing that we have to do. Then we'll have to calculate all the new people coming in, the old people retiring, leaving, and then the last 4 or 5 months of the year will be adjusted as I get those numbers coming through payroll and HR. So we should be ending somewhere around $2.5 million, I think, by the end of the year is what we're hoping for. Now, in debt service, if you see here, we're sitting with $1,445,000 in the red, and $4,670,000 in the black. The $1,475,000 in the red, right above that, is because of the tax caps. What I did was I signed a document that spreads our tax caps over the 2 protected debt service funds, because those are 18-month funds. So that $1.4 million that normally would have gone to CPF, transportation, operating, and bus replacement, that would have really devastated our capital projects plan, really impacted transportation. Those would be the 2 biggest ones that would pick up the majority of that $1.4 million. So by spreading it out this way, we can do this for the next 3 years, which will help save those funds. And I hope to say that the tax caps will come down. Hopefully the tax caps won't be the $3,070,000 that were projected. But so that's the new thing in debt service. And also in pension debt, we're looking at about a $370,000 cash balance at the end of the year. And right above that, you can see we had the 173 negative, and that's for the tax cap that we're spreading out there also. In capital projects, the tax cap dropped to $779,000. The cash balance right now is about $1,542,000 is where we're estimating. Depending on what we do as far as renovations through the end of the year, we're doing some of those renovations that we have to do for security at the schools, at the front offices. So if we run out of money in the bond issue that we still have, we'll have to take some money out of here to make up the difference. So we're holding good there. Transportation operating, I'm a little concerned here. See, we put $556,000 in the tax caps, which would have been a lot higher, but we're still looking at a negative $238,000 at the end of the year. Now, hopefully the 556 or 558 doesn't come true, that it's lower, because last year we were supposed to lose $2.1 million. We only lost $1.9 million in tax caps, so we saved about $200,000 of projected losses. But what I don't have in there yet is the revenue from the warranty. Brian Wimsat is going to go to Texas in June. He's going to be certified by International, and that'll then give us certification so that we can start getting revenue coming in for the warranty work. So that'll help. We're hoping that the price of fuel comes down. That's always a big variable when you're dealing with 100 buses out on the road every day. We do consume a lot of fuel. Tires, we do have new buses now that are going to be coming in that will give us a better gas mileage, but it's only 6 buses, so it's not going to really impact it that much. So just hope that the gas prices come down, the fuel prices. On transportation bus replacement, we're looking at $119,000 right here in tax caps and a cash balance of $4,000. So that's going to be a real tight fund. You've already given me permission to buy the special ed bus out of capital projects, so we're going to take that out of there. We have $400,000 budgeted right here for the buses, and that came in at $395,000 roughly. So we're real close on that one. And then the last one is the rainy day fund.
And we borrowed $250,000 for the project Lead the Way. That'll be paid back in June. So you'll see that we're going to be sitting with $3,709,000 in the rainy day fund. So overall, we're doing pretty good. We just had to watch bus operating fund real careful. Any questions?
You were talking about the capital project fund. We're gonna try to do some, in-house projects using our own people.
Correct.
Just wanted to say that when we went to the Career Center at Jeff, and we looked around and looked at the workmanship, it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand our folks did that one
Yes.
too. Very professional.
They're very good, and we're also going to do one at Charlestown, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so we have to do one there. And then we have to build a couple walls in the nurses' rooms for other things that we're planning on doing.
Very
so
well done.
They do good work.
Dr. Dykle, any idea on the warranty work, how much we're talking about there that?
No, it's basically everything but the motors and the transmission. So if we're doing brakes and exhausts, I don't know how long. They're going to have, just like when you go to take your car in, if you do this, it's, they're going to get reimbursed like 0.3 of an hour or, 1.5 hours, so everything will be budgeted. So I'll just have to talk to Brian and see exactly what we're looking at.
Yeah, I was just interested. That's interesting concept to certify him and then be able to get money back for that, so.
And he's the only one that really has to be certified. International's picking up the cost for the week training. We just have to pay for the flight and for his housing and food while he's down there, but they're picking up the actual cost. He's the only one that needs to be certified, and then the other 3 guys that we have, any work that they do, Brian will have to sign off on as the official person, and then we'll get reimbursed.
Super. Good idea. Looks like next item is bus inspections.
Yep, that's good.
We'd like to have Mr. Green come up and provide a report board to you related to that.
Thank you for the opportunity. We're just kind of focused here on the website. This is provided by the Indiana State Police. Kind of shows, when you go to the website, it has a state map. You click on Clark County, and then eventually we locate Greater Clark County Schools, and you can kind of look at this map. This is a snapshot in time. I just want to pause for a second. Bus inspections occur twice a year. One of those is late fall, where buses 12 years and older are inspected. And the other one is, I guess, late winter, early spring, where every bus is inspected irregardless of age. Back, 5-10 years ago, that bus inspection occurred right before school started. But the state police has changed tactics. It works quite well because you got the kids at school and you got to get them home somehow. So if your bus is put out of service, then things become kind of tight. What happens is this is multiple days over about 3 or 4 weeks. Troy Boyd is the person that does the inspection. He also works the road, so you might be in 4 days a week and then working the road on Friday. But what you have in front of you shows a pie chart, and I just kind of want to focus a little bit on, if we could click on the total approved right there. This represents, you can see there's 4 pages of this. You kind of represent the bus by number of how it was approved, what other issues will rely on that. You can go down by the number and you just kind of see, click from one page to the next. When you look at this, anything with a letter beside it is a contract bus, except some of our white buses, and I'll talk about those in a second. You can see the other pages by bus number. You could go back to the main, go back. If we go to the total out of service, when you look at that, what out of service means is that when it's inspected, there is an issue related to that bus. Like I said, when Troy comes in, he does these inspections, he says, okay, this one has a problem. Many times, when he enters that in the computer at the time, many times that bus is pulled out in the lot things are fixed, a sticker goes on the bus, and then when he comes back and does the re-inspection, he kind of re-enters it. So I just want to focus a little bit on 1W. You can see that it was put out of service. But if we could go back for now. And then go back to total approved. You can see it was also approved. Different date, different time. It's just the kind of the method, the record keeping that the Indiana State Police has to do. We could go back one more time to the main page. When you look at the total page where it says total approved, the number up there is 107. The actual number that was approved on this was 124. That includes all of other corporation-owned buses, all of our contractor buses. It also includes the activity buses, Big Red 2, the 5 white buses at Jeffersonville, Charlestown, New Washington. It also includes our bus for building trades and our bus for welding. In that 124 number. The other part of this too is that we have 6 buses the corporation owns that we did not take through inspection. They will be repaired over the summer. We have 3 large buses that will be repaired. One of the little buses is a wheelchair bus, and the floor was beginning to delaminate. And the way the 4-point system is, it has to go back to the representative to get it reinstalled. So we'll take that one through. And the other 2 little buses, one of those we use for parts, and probably be trading the other one in or selling it at auction. So that's kind of it in a quick overview. You know, sometimes when we look at these, you know, we can say, gosh, 7% of our bus was out of service. Just to remember that none of them were actually taken out of service. It's just that the way kind of the bookkeeping of this is. Yes.
So Gary, again, I noticed too, you pointed out 1W, but also 5W was out of service initially. So there's an initial inspection and says, hey, there's an issue here.
Right.
And then we repair it, and then it comes back around. Because I also saw how 5W was also back on.
Every one of those that are out of service was taken back through, and some of them is a simple fact that, you know, one of our buses, they had to put a tailpipe on it. One of them, they had to take a sawzall and cut the length of the tailpipe off to fit, you know, tighten down some things because of oil leaks. A lot of those are done as the other buses are coming through. They're kind of working on it. So it's kind of the ebb and flow of bus inspection. It seems to work. Troy finds the things wrong, and he'll walk around the other end of the bus, and we're putting light bulbs back in. And he walks back around and says, okay. So that's kind of it in the kind of the overview. Again, this is through the Indiana State Police. If you kind of want to do this at your leisure, you can go to the Indiana State Police website. They have it. I just Google it, ISP bus inspection. You can look at every county. If you look at Clark County, you'll see a myriad. Besides Clarksville, besides West Clark, you'll also see the YMCA buses. Any of our agencies here that have buses that have kids that are on them have to take them through inspection. That's so we've got all of our Y buses and our daycare related buses also go through.
Questions for Mr. Green? No. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the update.
All right.
Next item is the Versatran.
We're going to have Mr. Watson Board come up and give you an update.
Versatrans, the map that we had from 2003 was updated, and it was finished in September. At that point, all of the bus routes that were in the map had to be redrawn. Versatrans would have done that for us, but it would have been at a cost of about $12,000. So it took me from the end of September through January to complete those redrawing of the routes. But that was only the AM routes, because those are the routes that were in Versatrans. Our buses sometimes in the PM run the same route, sometimes it's reverse route, sometimes half of the route is forward and half the route is backwards. So until we have GPSs on all of the buses, that's probably when I will have all of the routes in Versatrans the way that they're supposed to be. Once we have everything correct in Versatrans, I will then need to train school personnel on using Versatrans. It's a pretty complex program, but by allowing them to do that, they can field a lot of phone calls that are directed to us. Sometimes the school calls us, sometimes the parents call us. We spend a large portion of our day answering phone calls based, where does my son get picked up, where does he get dropped off, what time, does my house fall, which boundary, those types of things can all be handled actually at the school level if Versatrans is entirely correct. So this will greatly reduce the amount of time spent with phone calls. Current uses of Versatrans, we use school boundary information. All of the school boundaries are drawn in Versatrans. They may or may not be exactly correct. I don't really know who drew those school boundaries in there. They were there when I took over. We do have some description of school boundaries in paper, and it's sometimes very difficult to tell where those boundaries fall if you're just reading it on a piece of paper. We don't really have GPS points for school boundaries, which we desperately need. So that's something we're going to need to work on, probably a committee, to develop school boundaries with the actual GPS points, because we have some boundaries go right through the middle of a house or through the middle of an apartment complex, and it's kind of difficult to tell where those boundaries fall. Also, the parent responsibility zone, that's usually a 1-mile radius around the school where there is no bus service. So we'll get phone calls, and parents want to know, why our bus is not transporting my children. It's because they're within that 1-mile radius around the schools. If you take a look at the screen, this would be for Maple Elementary. The outside blue line is the actual school zone, and then the orange line would be the parent responsibility or walk zone. So students would have to walk, or parents would have to take them. So that's what that looks like in Versatrans. There is detailed bus information in Versatrans. It tells us where the closest bus stop is for that student. Once all those bus stops are established, it can give us the potential number of students riding from that particular bus stop. If there are road closures, I can see where those closures are going to be, and I can reroute buses to get them around those closures. Also, it addresses the school or the stop distance, walking distance from a student's house to their stop. Currently, we use no greater than 0.2 of a mile for elementary students to walk to their stop, and 0.3 of a mile for middle and high school students to walk. We do get a lot of phone calls that parent says, I can't see my child's bus stop from my house, and I'll tell them exactly, it's only 400 feet. I can go in Versatrans and give them that information. On the screen, if I click on any point on the map, I can see which bus goes down that street and the schools that bus services. This is a student screen. When I pull up a student's name, it shows all of their student information, as well as where their bus stop is located, the time the bus arrives, how far that stop is from their house as well. This is what a bus stop would look like. This is one route for Riverside Elementary. All of the numbers on that route with the little arrows, that is where the stops are located and the number of students at those stops. Again, I can draw on the map and actually determine distances from any particular house. Down at the bottom of the screen, it shows the distance that house would be from the closest stop for that student. We get detailed route information, the driver, the bus number, the potential riders, the route time, the route distances, all in Versatrans. That's at the top of the screen there. You can see all of that information. Route efficiency is what I work on, and we use those. Versatrans talks to our GPS software. which is Synovia, and we can see where if the driver is actually driving the correct route as designed in VersaTrans. I can also print out a turn-by-turn for a substitute driver that tells where all of those stops are located and which students are to be picked up at those places. We use it for planning as well. Intercession is a great help for intercession. I can go through, since we picked up door-to-door in Charlestown and New Washington for intercession, I can pinpoint every student on that map. It has to be done by hand. You have to locate every one of those students, pinpoint where they are, and then route a bus to their house. But then it gives them the time that the bus will pick them up, and then I can give all that information to the schools. I can also use it for scenarios. I did a scenario to see if we could save money by doing a two-tier system in Jeffersonville, putting our middle school and high school students on the bus together, and using VersaTrans information that would not be efficient to do. This screen shows what all of the routes would look like, for instance, for Riverside Elementary on the map all at one time. Usually when doing efficiency, you try to find where those routes are overlapping, where the buses are driving past each other, possibly going past the same stop. So it's really all done by hand. It gets quite complicated when trying to find this information out, because then you've got something like this, which is Jeffersonville High School routes at about 39 buses and the routes that they travel, and several of them do go right on top of each other, just for the fact that the roads, you know, they have to access the same roads.
That's awfully pretty, Ken.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. This is what a turn-by-turn would look like, a paper turn-by-turn, so a substitute driver could be handed a turn-by-turn with the stops, with the information, the lefts and rights, and that is if everything is entirely correct in VersaTrans, which is quite difficult to get that information exactly correct. Most of that is due to the fact that Power School only gives us limited information. Every night, Power School updates to VersaTrans, and we only have the home address or the mailing address. Sometimes that's a P.O. box in Power School. VersaTrans assumes that that is a stop, so a lot of students don't get picked up at home. Obviously, they don't get picked up at P.O. addresses. A lot of them are daycares, or they're at grandparents in the morning, or moms in the morning and dads in the afternoon. So that information is not always correct. New Albany, I talked with New Albany Floyd County Schools, and they actually do it all by hand. They have 6,000 pieces of paper that they go through and pinpoint every student on the map instead of relying upon their student information to give that information correct, so they know where every stop is located AM and PM, which takes hundreds of hours of work. Future uses, what I'd like to use VersaTrans for is single source information, where we have everything located in there, all of our driver contact information, all of our bus information, our CDLs, our physicals, our VIN numbers, everything that we need. In fact, it even links with Fleet Vision, which is also a VersaTrans product, which will give us vehicle maintenance, keep records of part inventory, cost analysis, all that, and then our planning information. VersaTrans has a very extensive planning section, which I have not learned how to use yet. I'm beginning to start that training, but you can adjust school boundaries based on projections of enrollment. You can open, close schools, determine where schools should be placed based on enrollment and future projections. Actually, what I've done in the last year and a half that I've been in this position, this screen shows the current, in 2011, 2012, the number of routes that we had was 155 routes. In 2012-13, that was increased to 159 routes. Now, these are individual routes, so we're talking about Jeff High, Parkview, you know, individual routes, not buses. Then I came on in February of 12-13, and I was able to eliminate several buses for that year. So in 12-13, we had 156 routes. Is that 154? 154. And then I was able to eliminate another 3 routes for next year's school. The cost savings in that, with 5 eliminated routes, that's 1.66 buses, or a range of $43,000 to $71,000 that was saved by eliminating those 5 routes. For next year, it's $26,000 to $43,000 saved, and that saving is based on the cost analysis. There's a cost analysis report that you guys can look at it on your own time, but it's based on everything you can imagine: fuel, driver, insurance, bus purchase, GPS cost, and whether it's a contract driver or corporation driver. Concerns are that Power School, we're not getting accurate information for Power School just because it's not in the system, like I mentioned with the different drop-off and pickup points. So it is difficult to get exact information, and Versatrans entirely correct. Another reason why it's difficult to eliminate routes is just pure time. We don't have a great amount of time in between our school start and stops. So between high school and middle school, we have about 30 minutes from drop-off to the school, from high school to middle school. So we may have a bus that only has 7 or 8 or 15 students on it, but it's just a matter of time that bus can't get from point A to point B in that half hour to make more stops. So we're looking at, if we change bell times, what that will do to eliminate or consolidate some routes. Also, Versatrans is not the only routing software out there. It is one of many. It is not web-based. There are quite a few limitations with Versatrans, and so we are looking at some other possibilities that would be on the same cost basis as Versatrans. Edulog happens to be one of those. I won't go through all the information with it, but we're talking with them. They even have routing services. They've saved several corporations several $1 million just by saying, okay, here's what we have as far as routes. How can you save us money? Where can we cut corners? Where can we eliminate routes, and how can we do that? Future needs, one of the things we like to do is student ridership, and that would be when a student gets on a bus, they would actually log into that bus with an ID card, and that way we would know exactly the number of students on a bus on a daily basis. We would know exactly where they get on that bus, exactly where they get off that bus. Most of those also have parent logins, so that a parent can see if the student is on the bus on their way home, or if they got off at a correct stop, or if they got off at a friend's stop, or if they even got on the bus at all and the parent needs to pick them up at school. So a lot of schools are going to this login. The GPS that we're getting ready to install on all our buses next week, we can track the buses with live position. We can also get historical information. We can get where that bus was at any point in time. We can see its speed at any point in time. The stops listed by time and address. We can even tell if the door was open on the bus or door was closed at any point in time. We can actually even tell if there were any accident events. It'll report to us if there was harsh braking, harsh cornering, if they were speeding, any of those types of things. Here's what that looks like with several buses plotted on the map. There's one bus that shows an arrow in the direction that it's going, so it actually live tracks with about 3-second interval between each position. This would be a bus route with all of the stops. So I can actually then take this and draw the route in Versatrans and know exactly where those stops are located. Public and parent concerns. When we get phone calls from parents that says the bus didn't go down my street, the bus didn't stop at my house, we can tell exactly if it did that or not, so we can address that driver, or we can tell that parent, yes, it did, here's the time that it went out, and your student must not have been out at the stop. We can also do the comparative analysis between Versatrans and the way that the driver is driving that, because some drivers choose to drive the route differently than we have designed, and very often that's for a good reason. They know where they can turn and make an easier turn. If you look at this screen, the purple stops are the actual stops that are designed in Versatrans, and then the red stops are the ones that the driver is actually making. Sometimes we can even address the drivers that are making door-to-door stops when they possibly shouldn't be making door-to-door stops. They're doing that as a courtesy to some of the students, but we can see that comparative analysis. There is a parent portal with our new GPS system, and parents will be able to log in to that website and see the bus for the child, where that bus is located, how long it'll be before it gets to their house, whether it's been to their house, and that looks like this right here. If you see there's a little house on there and it's green, that means the bus has already been to their house. And there's a little school on there that's green as well, which means it's been to the school. But at the top you can see the estimated, the planned arrival time, and the time that it actually arrived at their site. So no longer can parents complain and say, well, the bus didn't get here on time, or it was 5 minutes late, or it was 10 minutes early. They can see exactly when that's going to be. We'll be able to use the GPS also for evaluation of our drivers. Then receive a score based on how well they're driving, if they're speeding, if they're not opening the door on railroad crossings, all those types of things. So it is an evaluation tool. We'll also be using it for time and attendance. The drivers can log on to the GPS when they get on their bus, so we'll no longer have to use paper timesheets. It's going to save us a lot of time. And also as a safety, it will, at the end of the year, Synovia has said they're going to have audible turn-by-turn similar to a Garmin. So when a substitute driver gets on that bus, no longer will they have to look at a paper route and paper stops. They'll be able to hear where the stops and the directions are going. We'll also have accurate ridership information for our special needs riders. The driver can log in each one of those students, so we'll no longer have to use paper check sheets to get that information. Questions?
Board, if I could just make a couple of comments. First of all, Mr. Watson is occupying a position that was newly created a year and a half ago, and I think and I hope that you can see the value that he brings to the table in terms of his expertise related to computer technology and software. So he's been done great work for us along with Mr. Green. We've asked them to step up this past year with intersessions in the fall and the spring, which is like setting up, brand new school years. They've done it well, and so I'm very proud of both Mr. Green and Mr. Watson for what they do on a continuous basis. Our transportation operation is big, it's significant. I think we're moving it in the right direction, and I really appreciate your work on this presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Watson. Great update. You've been busy the last year and a half, it looks like, so thanks for your work. All right, looks like Aramark's up next. So, always a pleasure to hear these updates. So.
Thank you. Well, thank you once again, Dr. Mellon and board, for allowing me to get up here. This month, I wanted to do a year in review. Each month, you guys get a newsletter with significant snapshots that we do, and then the last couple months have been a presentation for you. So I kind of just want to review all the great things that's gone on in nutrition services for this year. I'm going to start off in talking about our breakfast program. This year, we added 3 new sites for breakfast in the classroom. And for those of you that are familiar with it, we take coolers around to each classroom with meals in it for each student. We offer this program to each of our students in these particular buildings free of charge. This year we added Spring Hill, Maple, and Wilson Elementaries. By adding those 3, it increased our breakfast participation on an average of 54.5%. At Wilson alone, we increased our participation by 67%. So as you can see, this program is a very valuable asset to our students, getting food during the breakfast time that they probably don't typically get at home. I asked some of the principals to give me a little testimony of what breakfast in the classroom meant for them. And Ms. Starks at Maple said that the students displayed more positive attitudes at the start of the day. They encountered less conflict with others than what they would have normally had if we would have had the traditional breakfast program in the cafeteria. Ms. Holder over at Wilson Elementary, she said that the benefits of BIC, is what we call it, go beyond test scores. Students and teachers commented on how much they appreciated all the food. Several teachers commented on students being more alert and ready to learn for the day. Students and parents made positive comments and the school participation improved. We don't have statistics on data, but we don't have statistics and data, but attitudes, participation, and gratitude were definitely noted. Kids, you could tell, were very appreciative of the food that they were able to get to encourage them to learn throughout the day versus focusing on maybe if they didn't get fed the night before. One other thing is that we also saw a lot less nurses visits. So a lot of the kids were out of the nurse's office and in the classroom, so that benefited. Also during breakfast, we were able to provide a free breakfast for all of our students during I-STEP testing, I-READ, and then ACT testing as well. We celebrated National School Breakfast Week, which is usually in March, and we celebrated that program at Wilson with the additional grant that we got this year. When we talk about our breakfast program for next year, we're looking at the possibilities of opening it into Pleasant Ridge Elementary and then maybe extending it into a secondary school at at Parkfield, where those percentage of free and reduces are above 60%. As you can see from the graph below, we increased our breakfast meals per day, about 100 meals per day. The reason I broke it down between service days, and you'll see this again in lunch, is because of the inclement weather that we had, that we did lose 5 operating days for us in food service. So we wanted to break it down on a daily basis. As you can see to the right, the total breakfast meals, you can see that we increased our total meals significantly. Also, what helped with that is that we provided intersession meals. During the fall intersession alone for breakfast, we added about 6,000 additional breakfasts during that week, and in the spring it was closer to 9,000 additional meals. So just another compliment to our program that our kids were able to get fed. Then moving on to lunch, again, as you can see, these are just some snapshots of the things that we've done. In our secondary schools, we have done homemade pizza for the last 4 years now. Maple Elementary was the first Brave Elementary to tackle this on their own. So we were really proud of Maple for wanting to do this. We did it with a new manager this year, and she showed great strides of trying to change the image of what the school square pizza typically is. In all of our buildings, we celebrated the holidays. At Charleston High School, we implemented a new soup and salad bar. At New Washington Elementary, we allowed the kids to choose their own menu day, so they wrote the menu. We did lunch promotions for elementary schools. We did it on President's Day and Oaks Day, where we brought in Papa John's for the elementary kids to enjoy. We celebrated Dr. Seuss's birthday. Chef Chuck had catered to our Clark County Middle High School students and to our Jeffersonville High School students. New Washington Middle School and High School added 100% fruit slushies, which I talked about a couple months ago. And then finally, we produced a student viewpoint survey where the kids were allowed to come in and tell us exactly what they thought about our food, which, as you guys know, when you ask students to tell us what you really think, can be scary at times. So it really helps to get some input of our students. Again, with lunch, I broke down the lunch meals per service days. And as you can see, we actually stayed right about the same. We did on an average of 1 more meal per day. So we know that our focus next year is to really develop that lunch, really use what we got out of the survey, and enhance our menu a little bit more. The sodium levels are going to continue to change for us, which is going to be harder and harder for us to really grasp the taste of what our students want. So that's what we're going to focus on for next year. Again, total lunch meals, as you can see, are down about 20,000 lunches over the course of the year. And if you take the 6,632 average meals that we do times the 5 days of service days that we lost, is about 33,000 meals. So all in all, when you take in the days that we lost, we are up about 13,000 lunch meals. So that was a good stride for us too. Making a difference is something that we pride ourselves on a daily basis. Sometimes our food service staff is a smiling face that the kids can come in and see. I know all of our staff takes great pride in when we're out at the grocery store and kids come up and say, "Mommy, Grandma, Daddy, this is our lunch lady." And it helps the pride in the kitchen. So as you can see, some of the things that we've done this year is added the fresh fruit and vegetable program at Parkwood and Spring Hill. We just found out that we got awarded the program again for Spring Hill next year. We didn't make the cut for Parkwood, which is kind of a bittersweet moment because our free and reduced numbers are going down, so we didn't get the added program granted to us. Wilson Elementary was recognized by the state in the Healthier U.S. School Challenge. We produced family nights at Jonathan Jennings. We held teacher appreciation lunches during the Teacher Appreciation Week. We made holiday pies. We celebrated Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. at a community breakfast at Jeff High. One thing that I am very proud of is this year we added our choice program students, and we were actually able to hire some of our kids. Tyler Tinkle at Charlestown Middle School, and as you can see here are some of the pictures to the right of the kids actually doing work in the cafeterias. Colin Tinkle, which they are twins, went to Charlestown High School, and then we hired Alonzo Robinson at Parkwood. So kids in our actual district are making a difference in nutrition services. We made smoothies for Jump Rope for Heart at New Washington Elementary. We did a family literacy night at Wilson Elementary, family night at Utica. Wilson celebrated Every Kid's Healthy Week. We started administration lunches here at the admin building, and then we provided snacks to our kids during the extended school day. And the involvement in our community, we held a tailgate party at Jeff High closer to the beginning of the year. We participated in the Trick or Trot 5K walk downtown Jeffersonville. We participated in the Trick or Treat community event at Jeffersonville and at Charlestown. Again, we held the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast for the community. We provided refreshments for the grand opening at the Wellness Center. I worked alongside with one of our emergency room doctors at Clark Memorial. He was doing a presentation on obesity in kids of K through 12 area. So we worked one-on-one. He came into our buildings. He saw what we were doing, saw the implementation of the fresh fruit and vegetable carts, and how we encourage on a daily basis our kids to take fresh fruits and vegetables. Participated in the Jeff Chili Cook-Off and got 4th place. Participated in the Taste of Jeffersonville where we got 3rd place. And then just recently we participated in Jeff Fest where we handed out fresh fruits and vegetables and calendars and menus and just gave a bunch of information about Greater Clark in general, not just about food service. And then finally, as you can see, the catering sales. Chef Chuck has been hard at it, increasing our catering sales about $20,000 over the course of this school year versus last school year. So that's a great addition because that money's staying within our corporation. Our profit and loss, this year and these results are through May, so you can see that we still have a few days in June that we get to add to these. Our profit this year is going to turn, through May was $560,000, and our estimated profit for the end of the school year, we are estimating that we're going to be up about $50,000 over what we were at the end of last year. This additional profit is going to allow us to purchase new equipment for schools that may need new ovens or dishwashers, steamers, and then that we won't take out of the capital funding. As you can see, we have decreased our food cost of 6 cents per meal, and when you put that in terms, that's about $127,000 over the course of the year that we've decreased our food costs in an environment when our food is continuously going up. And that's due to our managers ordering specified products. We're getting more rebates back from our vendors because we're ordering more of the same types of food. And then finally, the reimbursement. We are down just a tad bit. Again, as you see, there's 9 fewer service days, and again, this results are through May. So we do feel that the 6 additional days is going to put us right about a break even of where we were last year over the reimbursement. So in a snapshot, very quickly, you can see that we've been very hard at it. We've enjoyed every bit of what we have done, and we look forward to the continued success of what we're going to implement next year as well. So, any questions?
Questions for Ms. Turner? I just have one. I have to know. The student viewpoint survey, how did that come out?
It was pretty good.
Was it? Yeah.
Yes, the kids wanted to see more different cuisines. They wanted to see more Mexican, more Italian, more just different ethnicity groups. So that's something that we're going to work on, and even towards the end of the year, we actually did that. Our participation wasn't as good as what we hoped for, so when we do this next year, we're going to try to do it a little bit earlier in the school year, maybe after a couple months of being in service. So, but they were very kind to us.
I just thought for sure they would say, we want more of those great big rolls in the morning, you know, the ones with all the icing.
Yeah. We want more fried food. That was
more
a lot
fried
of
food, right.
what we got back, but unfortunately that's not going to happen. So finding ways around that is what we're going to do.
Well, thank you for the update. It's always a great update, so appreciate it. All right, Dr. Millen, I think you were going to tell us about the student achievement.
Yes, Board, 2 items on our agenda related to both ISTEP and ECA. When we set the agenda, we were under the impression that we would be able to go public with results related to ISTEP and ECA, but they're still embargoed. And the latest word today was that they have not determined a specific date where the data will not be embargoed any longer. So part of it is rescoring that's taking place. In fact, I think the rescoring for ISTEP goes through Friday. And then ECA is also going to go through a rescoring too. So it was our hope that we'd be able to provide that information to you tonight. Unfortunately, we won't be able to, but hope to do so in the near future.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mellon. All right, next item is the consent agenda. We have items 1 through 5, it looks like. Well, field trips aren't on there, so I'd like to take all those together.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Gilkey.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Kraft. Any questions, comments? All right, all in favor? B4-0, thank you. All right, next item is our gifts to building. Ms. Kraft, in Mr. Satterley's absence, would you be?
Yes, I think you would let me do that.
I think he would. So.
Okay. I've noticed we have a lot of money given by PTOs, almost $1,800 contributed by 3 PTOs. That's amazing. That's hard work. Parents do a lot of work for that. And then we have an outstanding one, the Jeffersonville Township Trustees, $2,500. So, yes, we have $5,576.07 just out of people's generosity and their faith in the system, and I appreciate that.
All right, well, thank you. Do we have a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Kraft.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Gilkey. All right, questions, comments? All right, all in favor? B4-0, thank you. All right, moving on to action items. First item is permission for survey and appraisal of the land. I think Ms. Lewis is going to take us through that.
That's correct, and thank you and good evening. As you know, we have been in the process of discussing with a local developer about land areas out in the Parkwood Elementary School area, and we're talking about the possibility of exchanging some lands to better serve our needs as well as the developer's needs. And in order to get to a point to make a recommendation to you all for doing any type of a transfer of land, we need to first have the land areas we're considering surveyed, and secondly, we need to have them appraised so we can determine the values of those properties. So this evening, we're asking you all to authorize us to take step 1 and 2 in this process, not asking you to approve any transfer, but to start the process to allow us to move forward with the surveying of the 2 parcels of land we're interested in, and also, once those surveys are completed, to get the appraisals to determine the fair market values of those properties. So the recommendation is that you would approve those 2 actions at this time.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Lewis.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Gilkey. We're a little shy on board members tonight, so anyway. All right. Any questions, comments for Ms. Lewis? All right. All in favor? Be 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Our next item is the CHS, or Charlestown High School football agreement at Lucas Oil Field. Sounds pretty exciting.
Board, it is very exciting. Charleston High School was contacted by Compton Strategies, LLC, about the possible interest in moving a home game versus Brownstown Central, which is a key rival, that would have been played on Friday, August 29th, to Lucas Oil Field, to be played on Saturday, August 30th. If you would approve this contract, the game would be played at 1:45 p.m. It's one of 4 high school games to be played that day. CHS is required to provide and is financially responsible to provide the same game workers and officials. In return, Compton will pay Charleston High School $7,000 less all expenses, typically paid by the high school. And Compton will provide certain bonuses depending upon ticket sales. And bottom line, what a great way to showcase our Charlestown High School football program, the high school itself, Greater Clark County Schools. It's a win-win, we think, and so therefore I highly recommend approval of this contract this evening.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Mellon.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Gilkey.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions or comments for Dr. Mellon?
Is the principal and the athletic director at Charlestown in favor of this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, they couldn't wait to call me and make me aware of it, and Ms. Lewis has reviewed the contract as well, so it'll be exciting.
One of 8 schools, right?
One of 8 schools, right?
Wow. All right. All in favor? It'll be 4-0. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Hartledge is going to take us through the elementary athletic handbook.
Yes, as we prepare for the upcoming school year, we have reviewed our current athletic handbook and made necessary revisions on the calendar. We've adjusted the different athletic events so that the seasons run a little bit smoother next year. This past year we started out with elementary girls basketball because of the balanced calendar and the fall break, and quickly learned that in August we have some gyms that are very, very hot. So we tried to make some adjustments. We worked with a committee and made those necessary revisions, as well as have been able to add volleyball as an intramural in May. That was a huge success, so we're very excited about that.
Well, thank you. All right. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Thank you, Ms. Kraft. Any questions for Ms. Hartledge? All right. All in favor? Be 4-0. Thank you. All right. Next item is the Follett Destiny Library Management. Ms. Schellenberg?
Yes. I'm almost embarrassed to stand up here and say that it has been 12 years since we have updated our school library software system. And over the last really 4 years, we've been utilizing an antiquated system that our tech services guys have supported as much as they can. We've tried to, in the past, every 6 years when the language arts books come up for adoption, we review and look at updating the library. If you think back 6 years ago during our budget and fiscal reductions, this was something that was put on the shelf. Follett is a company that if you've worked in textbooks, it's almost the Amazon of books, and so their product is second to none. I mean, it's terrific, and terrific opportunities for add-on. Any purchases that schools want to add to their library go straight through Follett, and Follett gets the best prices, like Amazon kind of, it funnels that way.
The initial cost is going to cost us we will house the server ourselves, but they will do the conversion of all 18 sites of all of our titles. So the first year is an outlay of about $68,000. The annual cost for the product will be $26,000, and right now we pay right at $27,500 for an antiquated system. So we really think the initial outlay of the conversion and the hardware is worth this purchase.
12 years, huh?
I know.
All right.
We still have the Dewey Decimal System.
And also, there's another benefit of the purchase of the system. Do you want to?
Potentially, we have the opportunity to expand this system and run all of our asset tags, asset management inventory, and all of our textbook inventory. Right now, we utilize a third party for the textbook management that's aligned with PowerSchool. Dr. Dykle is looking at our Skyward system and PowerSchool just to make sure whatever program we get is aligning and more effective than what we have right now.
All right. Ms. Kraft, thank you. Second. Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions, comments? All right. All in favor? B4O. Next item is the 3-year contract for Learning.com's Easy Tech Curriculum and 21st Century Technology Assessment.
Right.
So
5 years ago, we started utilizing Easy Tech as a curriculum base for our elementaries. Easy Tech, as we added technology into the related arts wheels, especially at the elementaries, we have some schools who have been able to shift staff where they have a full-time teacher who actually teaches the technology classes. In other buildings, they've not been able to. So in order for us to kind of provide that guaranteed curriculum or level playing field, we've utilized this individualized program. It's used in Jefferson County. They actually use the curriculum and the assessment as exit exams for their students. Our teachers have liked it. Our kids are making progress. We utilize the curriculum itself as well as the assessments in grades 5 through 8. The company is now expanding, and for schools that have been part of their coalition from the beginning, they're offering us a 3-year contract at a reduced rate so that we get all the updates, and they are adding the project-based learning as well to this product. So it was a good deal. It's saving us on average about $5,000 a year for the next 3 years. We do have a 6 months. This is really a 3.5 year because we have 6 months to cover between now and then, but they've reduced that payment significantly. We do charge out to textbook rental for this product, so we do get revenue from it. It's a really good product, and it's also being utilized. Our e-learning coaches will put in for digital citizenship, and they stay current on SIPA requirements for child safety and have courses within the product that our kids can go through.
all right. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Gilkey. Do we have any questions?
I just have one. Has Sandy reviewed this contract?
You know what? She has had this. It's the same 4 years ago. The same contract, just a different pricing.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. All in favor? B4O. Thank you. All right. Our next item is New Hope Services, and Ms. Schnepp's going to take us through that.
Thank you. And before I start, I just wanted to give a shout out to Aramark because they kind of practice what we've been preaching with School to Work, and we have kids who are on certificates of completion or on diploma tracks, and they've made a point to go out there and give them the opportunity to job a shadow, have job awareness, and then they actually have hired our kids. So thank you so much.
Yeah, great job. Thank you.
The New Hope contract. This is sorry, what was I here for? The New Hope contract. Okay. I know, I've been here forever. The New Hope contract is a renewal. This gives our students with disabilities the opportunity, while they're in high school, to go to New Hope Services and practice their job skills on site. They provide us with a very nominal fee to kind of supervise the kids when they're there. and then it gives them an opportunity to explore that as a possible job in the future.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Gilkey. Thank you, Ms. Kraft. Any questions?
Does the cost come from, our grant?
We pay that out of our co-op
Okay.
dollars.
All right.
All right, all in favor? Be 4-0, thank you. Next item is consulting services for Marilyn Friend.
Yeah. Marilyn Friend is probably one of the best people in the field in terms of providing teachers with training in the area of co-teaching and collaboration. And one of the things that we're trying to focus on is improving the instruction that we provide to our kids with disabilities, but really all of our diverse learners.